Hi traders, my name is Aaron Kresovic, and I'll be your host today for the live session of Trading Battle. And I've got two special guests today. So I've got two battlers coming from the US, and one of them is Korbs and Casper. So how about I actually put it onto them and do a quick introduction, boys? Which one would like to start first and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Casper, lead the way, man. Start us off.
What's up, guys? So, as many of you guys who already know me as Casper, but my name's Jesse. I've been trading off and on since 2016, but full-time since 2020. I got funded last summer, and since then, I've been making a lot of different educational content, teaching people how to trade, and really just, trying to make it, So that's really all there is. If you want to go, Korbs.
Yeah,
excellent.
Nice to meet you, Casper. My name's Korbs. I'm a full-time futures trader. I've been trading since 2014. I got into the space a little bit before prop funding became so popular, before it became so cool, and before we had this as much of an opportunity as we do with it. Currently, I am on a bit of a world tour. I decided to spend this year outside of the US, just completely remote. So currently we are in the beautiful city of Quito, down here in Ecuador, where the weather is cold. The people are very small, like tiny, but it's beautiful. And I'm just trading as I go, and I'll be spending the rest of this year outside the US right now.
That's fantastic. And Korbs, are you staying actually in South America for the remainder of the year, or you'll be traveling all around the globe?
Yeah, all around. We'll be doing, we still have to do Peru, Chile, Argentina, Brazil. We'll jump over to Africa and then keep going that way. Eventually ending up in Cambodia, Vietnam, and then Thailand would be the final destination, or maybe Japan.
Fantastic. Well, if you get some time, come down to Australia as well. That's where we're based at the moment, so we'd love to actually have you here. But gents, like I've gone through some content as well actually yesterday, and I've checked your websites and stuff. It's quite incredible stuff that you both are actually doing. So well done on that. Quite a lot of followers, quite a lot of actually really good content, like on socials and stuff and on YouTube. So for all those ones actually, that are watching today, please give it a follow for the boys as well. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of valuable stuff that you can actually pick up. But today's topic will be a very interesting one. We're going to talk about prop trading. So there's been a lot of talk about the prop trading over the last couple of years, I'd say, especially over the last 6 months. So Korbs, can you tell me a little bit about it? Because obviously you're the ones that actually started a little bit earlier. In terms of the evaluations and stuff, are they all same, reputation aside? Are there any standouts, that are, about competitiveness in the industry and so on? Can you give us a bit of an insight for the audience as well?
Yeah, for sure. I think as far as evaluations being the same, definitely not. There's massive differences in the evaluation that you're going to want to go through. And a part of this process of even going through and getting funded is navigating somewhat of a landmine of which evaluation that you should be involved with. There are evaluations out there that you might just look at on the surface and be like, wow, this is a $300,000 evaluation. And the nuts and bolts of that will be that you have $7,500 worth of risk capital that you need to hit a $20,000 profit target with. And when you understand how that breaks down, you have to over 2.5x your account, closer to 2.6x your account, which is very difficult to do. And there are much easier evaluations, even with the same company, that would be much easier for you to pass and much more likely that you could get passed. There's also rules for these evaluations that make it extremely difficult to pass depending on what your particular trading strategy is. One of the big things right now are these unrealized P&L drawdowns, where if you are up $1,000 and you don't secure that gain and it rolls back on you, even if you were to secure break even and not lose on that trade, it would still affect your drawdown by that unrealized P&L amount.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It makes it incredibly difficult for some people to pass. I've passed 2 evaluations this way, so it's not impossible, but you would also have to go into that. And I had to massively tweak the way that I take trades, and I had to be very active, making sure that I was securing profit in trades didn't roll back on me. So just to name a few things, but the evaluations are wildly different, and you could potentially not be able to pass and have a very hard time passing, where if you just knew a little bit better about what the evaluations offered, or potentially a different company, you might be able to pass, and get yourself funded. So
Sure.
very important part of the step to make sure that you do your due diligence and you understand. And a lot of these companies in this space is just geared around towards starting and just getting going and just jumping into it. But a little bit of due diligence will go a long way in this space. As far as standouts go, I really like something with a static drawdown. So something, I think a nice one is from Elite Trader Funding. They have $150,000 option, which I think the way that breaks down is very nice. And it's just static. So if you have P&L that goes up, but you don't secure all of it, it doesn't affect anything. I think that this is much more feasible to pass. They have a very short time window of minimum days. I'm fairly happy with that one. I
Fantastic.
don't know if I have
Fantastic.
one particular evaluation that I'm super happy with. I think that the space in a whole, we need to do better. And I'm hoping as this space becomes very lucrative for these companies and extremely competitive, that there will be a bit more of a turn to what is in the best interest of the actual trader. And I don't feel it's that way right now, specifically.
Fantastic. Excellent. That's very informative, actually. And you know what? We'll come back into that as well, because I've got a couple of other topics that I want to discuss. So I'll dwell into a little bit more in details a little bit later on. Thank you so much for that. That's actually great. Cas, can you tell us a little bit about the evaluations and, reputation aside? What are the standouts, in this competitive industry?
Yeah.
What do you find from your point of view?
So number one, I agree 100% with everything Korb said. It's definitely not, as an industry standard, it's not set in the best interest of the trader. It's almost set in a casino model where a lot of these traders don't realize they're just being booked. They're not ever actually even trading real money, even if they do pass, and they're getting paid with the fallen traders, evaluation fees. And that's a very predatory model that a lot of people that are coming into trading right now can't see through because they didn't trade before. Props were a thing, and everybody wants to jump straight to a prop firm and like you said, 2.5x their account. And they're not understanding how to actually look at the different companies, look at the different kinds of challenges available. And even if they do understand what to look for, they don't understand how to tweak their strategies, like Korbs was saying, because it's not impossible to pass these types of challenges. You just have to really size your positions differently. You have to make sure you're using a strategy that is going to you're not going to end up hitting that trailing drawdown that he referred to. But I think the biggest thing that we are finally starting to see some give is the time limits, right? Because I think the time limits for the longest time with some of the major forex funding firms were the biggest causes for traders to fail. Because it's one thing to have to make these massive gains, not once but sometimes twice with some of these two steps, and then sustain to the payout. But to do this in a set amount of time when you have that doomsday clock kind of going against you, that was a big. I think now, like you said, when everything's getting more competitive and as these companies are making tons and tons of money, things are going to shift because there's going to be those few that rise above, and in order to maintain their edge over the competition, they're going to start offering better challenges. And I think that we're going to see a lot of these firms fizzle out in the next, probably year or two. And hopefully we start to see that shift to where it's not, to prey upon traders, but to build with good traders and identify talent and build upon that.
Absolutely. If you're putting your money down and basically paying for the valuation fees, you want to go with a quality prop firm that you can actually got a fair good chance of actually passing. So what you guys telling me is actually the main challenge of getting funded is actually managing your drawdowns. So everything comes down in trading, I guess, to risk and money management. I spoke to you, Korbs, before. And Cas as well, actually. Cas, you specifically told me how you trade your index markets, and Korbs, you mentioned about the futures as well and stuff. So how much consideration should one trader place towards losses? What is the best way to manage the risk with losing trades? Like, obviously, with discretionary trading, if you're trading your own account and not doing a prop, I guess you can take that slightly differently because, you can take a little bit more risk. You can kind of fizzle and tweet things around. But these prop firms, they're actually very savage. They've got their standards, and unless you actually meet the requirements, you basically are. So I'll start with you, Korbs. Risk and money management, managing losing trades. What do you think is the best way to go about it?
Yeah, I would actually back up to the first thing you said about the biggest issue being money managing. I think that this is almost skipping a step, because I would imagine that the average trader going through an evaluation their biggest issue is not actually managing the risk. Their biggest issue is they are so lost in this space in terms of what it takes to do this job, what it takes to think strategically, what they have in place for their actual method, that risk management aside, there is zero chance that the actions that they're doing are going to lead to them being any sort of successful in this business. And this is a real, it's a pivotal time for us as retail traders, because this was me. I came from this with absolutely nothing, and I had to learn this step by step, and I've gone through all these mistakes as well. And I see it on my streams, and I see it with traders that I'm talking to. You can hear them talk and understand that they're just lost. They're in this stage of development that they don't know what they don't know. And I say that for everybody as not something to be demeaning, but something that if you are in evaluation, if you're struggling going through this, put a lot of emphasis on the time you're staying off the screens, really learning strategy, really learning to put together models and frameworks for how you manage positions and what you do in a variety of situations, because the markets are very dynamic and we have to think through lots of layers of things. But risk management obviously being wildly important. And so when it comes to taking considerations to losses, I would say we want to take our losses very serious, but we don't want to take them too serious, because it is a part of our job. It is a part of the life that we've signed up for. And it's one of the things that makes trading very difficult is nothing in our life prepares us to be a good loser, unless maybe you had a tough home life. And I'll tell you, I think that when it comes to trading, specifically our losses, it invokes something like the law of averages. And there's a Bible story actually that would remind me very similar of when we enter a trade, what happens next. There's a biblical story about a man who goes out and he sows, seed in his field. And as he throws out that seed, some of it falls by the wayside. Some of it falls upon thorns. Some of it falls upon stony ground. And then some of it falls on good ground. The wayside, as soon as it plants, it's just trampled out. Nothing happens. The stony ground, it lands. It starts to grow, but there's no roots and it just immediately fizzles out. The thorny ground, good, it grows, it becomes a nice plant, but it gets choked out by the thorns and it never sees a real plant. And then the good soil, happy days, everything's beautiful. They return, 30, 60, 100 fold. Our trades are the same exact way. And this isn't something we can't escape. This is something we have to accept. Sometimes you will put on trades that fall by the wayside. And as soon as you enter that thing, it just goes the way, it's just done. It was a bad idea, or potentially you just did something wrong and the whole thing just falls flat. Sometimes you enter these trades that are on stony ground. It will look like it is working out, but there's no substance to it. You're not on the right side. You don't have the right read of what's happening, and that trade is going to fail on you. Some trades are going to fall upon the thorns, and they're going to be good. You had the right idea. Your analysis was correct. You were on the right side, but something just chokes it out. You're going to run into a news event that wasn't slated. It just hit the wire. A big player is going to step in for some reason that you have no idea about, and they're just going to crush that trade. You did everything right, but it still got choked out by something you couldn't control. And then some of your trades, they fall on good ground. You enter them, they go straight to your profit target, and you feel like you've cracked the code to the market and you're a genius now. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I've gone through quite a few of them, to be honest, over the years. And one thing that I would like to actually say here is you're 100% right. Like, you got to go through the bad to actually come out and basically on the good side. You have to go through the trenches. Anything that you do in life will take actually quite a bit of time to actually master and get good at. If you want to be a good mathematician or, whatever you want to do in life, you got to go through the education. You got to get the education. You got to get the experience. And then basically you got to master the game as well. So I couldn't agree more. Like, absolutely. Just last, with regards to you, Cas, anything that you would like to actually add there? Korbs was actually very good in explaining in terms of basically understanding the winning and losing trades.
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest death cycle that I see a lot of traders go on is they might have a system that they do understand the technicals and they don't understand how to execute it, right? Because everybody thinks that analysis is everything in tradings. And I'll tell you right now that I know a lot of good analysts that are not good traders because they don't understand how to take a loss. You might have a great system that, like for example, today I took a loss publicly, right? I took a loss. That's fine. Went back and hit it again, got 4.6 to 1. And that's the truth of trading. A lot of people think that trading means you're always being right. And, like Korb said, you're not conditioned to be a good loser. And this is why so many people come into trading from other different businesses that are extremely successful, maybe in real estate, maybe whatever business, e-commerce, drops, or whatever they're doing, and they come and blow a lot of money in trading, because the logic that it takes to be a trader is completely inverse of the logic it takes to succeed in most things, meaning that you don't necessarily have to win. In the great words of the late Mark Douglas, you don't have to understand exactly every scenario to make money. It's a game of probabilities. So people, whenever they're trying to, manage their money or worry about their risk management and drawdowns, they look at drawdown like it's like the Grim Reaper. Like if you get in drawdown, it's over. And then you get on tilt and your mindset's all messed up and you're not going to take the wins. And it just goes, you take the trade. It's a normal loss, part of your system. Then you're scared to take the winner. You miss the winner. Then you over risk on the bad trade. And then you just tumble down that death spiral that a lot of traders find themselves in. It's just, you have to be relentless. So with drawdown, another thing with funded challenges, I think a lot of people take them out of despair, meaning that they take it, they save up, a lot of money for them and they spend it on a challenge, and this challenge is everything to them, right? If you go into that challenge like that, you've already lost. If you care about losing that money, most of the time you've already lost before it started, because you're trading from despair. You're not trading from an objective perspective where you're going to be able to take those losses and continue hitting that, hit and going to bat, So that's the biggest thing I could say for drawdown is you have to understand and that your system is going to have losses, and you have to be extremely confident in your system and be willing to lose.
Fantastic. Excellent. So I'm going to ask another question actually here. What is more important with getting started? Is it the time management or financial literacy? Is it the education of learning how to trade and basically going through the trenches, doing all the hard yards at the start and then basically getting into trading? Or I guess, what a lot of people do is actually try to actually focus on the end goal, which is basically, getting into the prop stuff, getting the funded accounts and then, making those big dollars. How would you actually answer that, Korbs?
I would say it's funny because I think the time limit is something that is or time management, I guess, as you said, is very important in the Forex side of things, from what I understand. It's zero issue in the future space. If you are, these firms give you very little amount of times. They have one steps. These are a lot of options. And if you can't pass your one step, and if you can't hit your goal or fail your goal in the month or whatever, or 60 days or some of the time limits on these Forex accounts, then you gotta squat or get off the pot. Like you're doing something wrong with your strategy, because you're either not being aggressive enough or you're something's wrong. So I would say time management in that sense of passing the evaluation is no issue in our space. Time management is very important for traders in the sense that how much time and how you're using your time specifically on the screens is a very big deal. When we are trading, if you were to limit the amount of time that you spent live trading, your P&L and every result that you have would go up in almost all cases. The reason for this is, as we trade, it's incredibly mentally taxing. We are incredibly involved in these situations that cause us stress and that cause us to be mentally tapped out. And you only get so much mental bandwidth. There's an old saying that fatigue makes cowards of us all. And I could be in a situation where I'm dialed in on a diet or something, but the moment I get hungry one day, I'll just go ham on a carton of ice cream and not even think about it. Yeah. But the reason I failed in that situation was because fatigue set in. And in trading, you can be disciplined. And a lot of traders are in this very repeatable pattern that they can't see, where they start the day, they make very good trade decisions, they stay too long on the screens, and then they end up blowing it and unwinding and having a horrible session. And they aren't ever able to connect the dots that they're fresh and they're dialed in early. And then as they battle the market and as they make these micro decisions in and out, they start dealing with fatigue. And then their ability to stay disciplined and not overtrade and not chase price around, the ability to not do something stupid, it drops and they end up doing something very bad. So managing time is actually really important, but not in the sense of passing the evaluation, I imagine. To answer the question, which I just talked all around, is the trading IQ portion is massively more important, and it's massively lacking. I said it at the very beginning, but I really mean this. There's a huge gap in what it takes to make it in this business. And it starts with education for sure.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Very well summed up, man. I really like that. Yeah. I believe Einstein had a quote where he says, acquire the knowledge, create the wealth, right? So it's actually one of those ones where you actually, you got to do the hard yards, and basically, once you feel more confident, and confidence will come with the right outcomes as well, with the right process, because if you do the right process, then outcomes will follow. So that's spot on. Cass, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so I agree. The futures space is a lot different than Forex, and even the Forex space is starting to lighten up a little bit. Like, I think that the biggest names aren't letting up on their time limits, but I think it's a matter of time till other firms that are having no time limits are gonna, or that do have no time limits, are gonna kind of surpass them. So I wouldn't say time management, like Korbs said, it's not really, it's your time management isn't as paramount to passing the challenge, right? But I totally agree that your energy, your mental energy is going to be one of your biggest currencies. So as far as sitting there and just staring at the 1 minute chart endlessly all day, waiting to try to just jump on every single thing, that's going to completely destroy you. And that's where people will. I've seen traders literally that I've worked with, they would be in the positive, right? Had a great day, and they will just chip and chip and chip and chip away, and then they're sitting there like, what just happened? I just sat there and so that's where time management is important in that sense. So basically reiterating what Korbs said, I 100% agree. And if you don't, most people that are taking these, because the funding firms things, it's a massive opportunity, right? Everybody, for a while it was like there's all these different hustles online, like business credit, real estate, everybody wants that get rich quick that takes no money, it takes no credit score, it takes no skin in any game. And that's that in trading, right? It's that, and people fail to understand that there's no such thing as that get rich overnight thing. It's going to take a lot of investment in yourself and an education, your time. And that is really the most important factor in passing a challenge, is making sure you're actually ready for it. And the reason that firms have such a high failure rate is not necessarily because nobody knows how to trade. It's because so many people go straight for them when they have no idea what they're doing at all, right? So I agree with Korbs 100% that the trading IQ is definitely more important.
Fantastic. Excellent. Well, gents, that was very informative. There was actually a lot of content there as well. One last thing that I would like to actually ask each one of you. First thing first, where can followers find you? So I've gone through your social medias, obviously, over the last couple of days and stuff, and I can see some fantastic content on there. A lot of valuable information as well for those that are actually starting out in terms of the education. So if you can tell me where people can actually find you, that's number one. Number two, I would like to ask you as well, what got you to where you are today? So if you can give me one point that actually made a difference in your life, actually, when you started trading and becoming successful and to the point where you are right now, can you point that out and just give a bit of insight to actually those that are starting out, whether in prop, whether in education, whether in trading in general? What is that one word of advice that you would like to actually give them?
Would you like
Korbs.
me to go first? Yeah.
I'll start. So basically,
either or will do.
Yeah, there's a lag. I'm sorry.
You got it. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I am on Korbs YouTube. You can go follow me under there. Some say I'm criminally underrated. I don't know. That's what they're saying on the street, though. That's the only social to really follow me on. I don't really do anything else. I have an Instagram, but there's no reason probably to follow me over there. So I would just say Korbs is the way to go. Don't ever send me an email. Ruben will respond to it, but I for sure won't. And as far as the one thing that has gotten me here, and I would say this. When I got into trading, I was 23, going on 24 years old. I had no high school diploma. I had no GED. I had no college education. I was very backwards in life. And trading has completely changed me. And to where I started, at the age I started, to where I am right now, there are very few paths in life that would have gotten me here. And trading is this amazing opportunity. And when I got into this, I didn't know anything about life. I didn't know anything about trading. I was a very stupid person. And one of the beautiful things that trading taught me is that everything's just connected. When you have problems in your trading, these are problems in your life that are showing up in your trading. And the issues that I was having in trading is I was spontaneous and I was reckless and I was undisciplined. And I didn't have the ability to think critically or to think more than one layer through things. And my journey into trading was this beautiful process of just getting better at life. And if you do this right, I think everybody should give an honest effort at trading. maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe this isn't the work that you want to be committed to. But if you honestly gave this a good shot, you would find out so much about yourself, and you would find out so much more about how you think and how to control yourself. And it's a beautiful journey if you do it right, because it has so much to do with creating a financial situation that I would not have in any other situation, but also just a life situation that makes you a more interesting and a more better person. And that core idea that we don't just have trading or problems, we have personal problems that show up in your trading. And what's interesting is, as you go about growing as a person and as you fix these areas of your life, they fix in your trading, and you become a better trader. And it's this really beautiful thing that works together. But that was a powerful thing that I had to learn, and it's been a journey that I'm still on.
Fantastic. Excellent. Yeah, 100% right. All the weaknesses come out, all the troubles and stuff, because it's such an emotional game, and we get tested all the time. So that was brilliant. Thank you so much. Cas, anything that you would like to say, where people can follow you on the socials, and also anything that you would like to give in terms of the word of advice before we wrap it up over the next couple of minutes?
Yeah. So Casper _SMC on Twitter, or Casper SMC on YouTube. Instagram too. I mean, like Korbs said, I really don't do much there. YouTube's definitely going to be the biggest amount of value. Twitter's great too. I love Twitter. But as far as advice goes, I second everything Korbs said. Again, I mean, I couldn't align more with the fact that I think everybody should at least try it. And it's going to teach you a lot about yourself. It's going to show you where you're impulsive. It's going to show you where you lack self-control. And there's so many parallels that you can draw between the lessons you learn in trading and then things you can apply not only to life, but any kind of business. It makes you look at money in a completely different way. And it really opens up a can of worms whenever it comes to the way that you reason with things and the perspective you see things from. And, the biggest advice I can give is just keep showing up. Like, the only reason that I ever did good with this was because I'm just a very, very determined person that is very stubborn. And if I want to do something, I will not give up. And there were times, like learning things, where I got super frustrated. There's been times where things weren't good. But, I think what really, and this is with anything, what separates people that see where they can actually, get, is the people that are willing to put in the sweat equity, and not give up, and look at things as lessons instead of losses. And really, just another thing for traders too is they need to focus on their personal development, like your mindset, your discipline. Like a lot of people, they want to manage millions of dollars, they can't even wake up at the same time every day. There's a lot of that I see in this space. So I think that that's a major thing, that if a lot of these traders would just put maybe an hour of their morning, wake up an hour earlier, and devote it to personal growth, I think the gains they would see from that over time in their trading would be massive. So that's another piece of advice that I can say when I really started being more consistent and, really starting to align with your goals, is when I realized that goals aren't necessarily always built around the outcome as far as your success goes. It's more built around the identity that you place with those goals. Instead of trying to, I want to be $1 million funded trader. Okay, well, what does that look like? What does that version of you look like? And you need to have a very clear picture of that in your mind. And if you're not making daily decisions and keeping habits that align with that, then you can't expect to attain that. So that's my biggest piece of advice.
That is fantastic. I really, really like that, actually. The habits, the commitment, positive mindset, and basically plugging away. Gents, the time is up. Thank you so much to both of you for actually coming and attending and sharing your wisdom with us. We really appreciate that. For the audience, please give it a follow for the boys on the socials. I went through, as I said before, some of the content yesterday and actually listened to it. It is super, super valuable. So hopefully we'll get an opportunity and chance to actually chat again over the coming months as well. Korbs, enjoy Quito, Ecuador. Enjoy your time over there. Cas, enjoy Tennessee as well. We'll keep in touch, and hopefully we'll get a chance to meet up and continue talking about trading.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I know it's early where you're at. So you enjoy the rest of your day, and yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for having me on.